Mr. Chairman.
Thank the gentleman. Mr. Akin from Missouri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I came with kind of a multi-part question. It has to do with F-18s, the subject that's been raised several times today. The first is that in Section 123 of Public Law 110-417, it required the Secretary of Defense to submit a report on F-18 procurement costs by March of 2009. Now, we have not received that report. The purpose of the report was to take a look at particularly the idea of multi-year. We didn't stick that in that we were going to force anybody to do that last year, but we thought at least it makes sense to save money. If you're going to be buying some F-18s, you're going to do it over a multi-year period, why not sort of lock in some type of a contract? So I guess my first concern, I'm going to hit you with a couple different questions. My first concern is I think it would be helpful in terms of transparency to have a better communication so we know what's going on. Now, I understand that the QDR is the reason. We're going to wait for the QDR and everything, but it seems like to me this is a pretty straightforward situation. In 2008, the projected shortfall was 125 aircraft. That was based on the 10,000-hour run time for these jets. Now that's been proven wrong, so we're looking at a shortfall of 243,000 aircraft. And that comes out at 44 aircraft per aircraft carrier. You're looking at, by the time you get to the year, let's see, it's about, I think it looks like 2018, you're looking at about 5 aircraft carriers with no airplanes on them. I would suggest that aircraft carriers with airplanes is not a good combination. We need to have airplanes on them. And so, regardless of what QDR says, it seems to me that there's one of a couple things. Either you're assuming we're going to get by with fewer aircraft carriers, or we're not going to have a full 44 aircraft on an aircraft carrier. That seems to be where we're going. So I guess my question is, first of all, why the lack of transparency? And second of all, if you would comment on where you think we are on F-18s.
Well, first of all, if the lack of transparency is the fact that we haven't yet gotten that report to you that was due in March, then we have an obligation to get on it. I wasn't aware about the report, and I'll find out where it is. Do you want to talk about that?
The strike fighter shortfall is an area, Mr. Akin, I know that obviously you're very focused on. The multi-year issue, quite frankly, is how long are you going to keep the production line open? And clearly, there has been a decision previously made that it was going to, I can't remember the exact year, I think fiscal year 12. So how far out you could go in a multi-year right now would be a question, because that question hasn't been answered. There's no intent to have aircraft carriers without airplanes. I understand that. I'm very aware of the 10,000-hour desire, and obviously that those airplanes are not going to last that long. That said, I advised the Secretary, and I'm still there, that we really need to take a pretty healthy look at this overall shortfall, not just in the Navy. What is the strike fighter future? What does it look like? And principally, we're headed for JSF. So what's the risk? When do you take it? And obviously that backs up into whether this production line would remain open longer than is scheduled right now. There's an electronic warfare piece of this as well that I'm sure you're aware of, which is included. So I really think this needs to be looked at in the QDR.
Right. Well, we were on point on the electronic warfare, and I think there's been some real good progress there.
Yes, sir.
I guess the other question I had was, Mr. Secretary, you made the statement, as I recall, on January 2009, I will pursue greater quantities of systems that represent the 75% solution instead of smaller quantities at the 99%. I'm thinking at 5.5 F-18s per JSF, you know, maybe the F-18 does make a certain amount of sense. And I have to say that as we've taken a look at more on the shipbuilding side of cost overruns and problems with missing deadlines as well as cost deadlines, but production deadlines, I guess I'm a little concerned about dropping, you know, billions of dollars into trying to rush a program if we haven't even been through testing on it. So it seems like there's a natural progression. If you drive a program too hard in terms of JSF, it can be pretty costly. So I'm happy if there's a better airplane, go for it, but I don't like to see us just gamble on the come on something where we have a huge shortfall. I yield back.